Hello, this is 3SP. I'm coming to you with another update. This article I'm about to read comes from Reuters. China paper says China should stay neutral if North Korea attacks first. Beijing. If North Korea launches an attack that threatens the United States, then China should stay neutral. But if the United States attacks first and tries to overthrow North Korea's government, China will stop them, a Chinese state-run newspaper said on Friday. President Donald Trump ratcheted up his rhetoric toward North Korea and its leader on Thursday, warning Pyongyang against attacking Guam or U.S. allies after it disclosed plans to fire missiles over Japan to land near the U.S. Pacific territory. China, North Korea's most important ally and trading partner, has reiterated calls for calm during the current crisis. It has expressed frustration with both Pyongyang's repeated nuclear and missile tests and with behavior from South Korea and the United States that it sees as escalating tensions. The widely read state-run Global Times, published by the ruling Communist Party's official People's Daily, wrote an editorial that Beijing is not able to persuade either Washington or Pyongyang to back down. It needs to make clear its stance on all sides and make them understand that when their actions jeopardize China's interests, China will respond with a firm hand, said the paper, which does not represent government policy. China should also make clear that if North Korea launches missiles that threaten U.S. soil first and the U.S. retaliates, China will stay neutral, it added. If the U.S. and South Korea carry out strikes and try to overthrow the North Korean regime and change the political pattern of the Korean Peninsula, China will prevent them from doing so. China has long worried that any conflict on the Korean Peninsula, or a repeat of the 1950-53 Korean War, could unleash a wave of destabilizing refugees into its northeast and could end up with a reunified country allied with the United States. North Korea is a useful buffer state for China between it and U.S. forces based in South Korea, and also across the sea in Japan. The Global Times said China will firmly resist any side which wants to change the status quo of the areas where China's interests are concerned. That article, it ended with a very strong point that when China's interests are challenged, that's when they'll come in and intervene. So we have to identify where China's interests are. To me, it still wasn't fully clear. And now it did say it'll stay neutral if the United States retaliates against North Korea if North Korea strikes first. But wouldn't a logical step at that point to it might not be logical to set up a government once Pyongyang's been destroyed? That's where China would step in, is that they don't want us to set up our own regime there. They want to keep that buffer between United States and China. Now, I still think a lot of this is just controlled, and it's just my opinion. But like I said in this morning's video, Kim Jong-un, he grew up in Switzerland. He went to Western schools. He had Western friends. He had Western teachers. So most of his influence is Western. I don't really see how he could come from Switzerland, then just automatically go into this totalitarian, communist craziness that they're portraying that he is. I think might all just be a setup to create a controlled opposition in the world that is necessary, again, to keep a certain level of control over people. We know that fear is the strongest way to control someone. So if you always have a fear of a nuclear threat, if you always have a fear of a world war and a Russia like they did in the 50s where they had to duck and cover all the time when someone says flash to practice just in case a nuclear bomb goes off or Russia strikes us, that is an extremely powerful way to control somebody. You keep them in fear. So I'm not totally sure that's what this is, but I'm starting to think it's a strong possibility that the West really has the control over what's happening in North Korea. And we know, I'll try to make a video of it later, but we know that communism was it was created by the peoples of the West through who lived in democratic societies at the time. So I think it's all just man-made. I think it's all made up, and I think it's just a form of controlling us to make us act the way that the government wants us to act. And like I've been saying lately, we really have to pray. Pray for the situation. Pray for the peace in the world. Pray that things will de-escalate, that there will not be nuclear war. That is the worst thing that can happen right now in the world is nuclear war. We need to pray that this world be disarmed from nuclear capabilities. It's just a total threat to humanity. The only reason that some countries have nuclear weapons now is because other countries have them. So that's the best way to keep a country from striking against you with a nuclear weapon is to have your own. But either way, any one person, any one country that launches the first nuclear weapon, all the nuclear countries are going to launch their weapons. That will be the end of civilization. We are literally this close for the northern hemisphere to be obliterated and for us to be stuck in a nuclear winter. Even if we detonated a nuclear weapon into North Korea, the effect of that one nuclear bomb would be devastating. It would drop our temperatures. We would have, it probably wouldn't be a nuclear winter, but it would be a nuclear autumn. Then if there's two that goes off, we are officially in nuclear winter. So, again, we really need to pray for this situation. We've averted World War III before with prayer, and we need to keep it up. Pray without ceasing. This is our responsibility. Then make people aware of it. There are ways we can affect this. I'm not sure what they are. We need to come together, and if you can, make some comments below of what we could do to de-escalate the situation. And this is 3SP signing out.